Hello. Hi. My name is Kimberly Inez Mays, and let me put in a cough drop, and I'm going to get right to you. All right. I have been sick for about 6 weeks, so if my voice sounds a little shaky, that is why. Every time I get sick, I get the worst cough, and I cough for weeks. And so today is the first time in a while that I'm making original content because I miss it and I want to get back to it, and I'm going to try to power through today's topic. And this is Kenzo Lorenzo Black, and we're going to talk about introversion and AI. But before we do that, if you're listening or watching and you don't know who I am, my name is Kimberly Inez Mays. I demystify technology for small businesses so that they can generate and nurture leads with marketing, automation, and AI. Now let's get into it. Introversion and AI. You never thought that these two would go together. But why am I bringing it up? Well, I like LinkedIn. And then when I scroll on LinkedIn, I see a lot of memes and cartoons and other types of things that get my attention. And this one thing got my attention. It's a drawing that I'm going to put on the screen. And it's a drawing or a little meme of 4 panels. And the first panel has a figure who is a boss, and he's being pulled in a wagon by 3 other figures. And the second panel has that same figure, and he's leading the other 3 in pulling the wagon. So he's the leader now instead of just being a boss. But then the third and fourth panel really bother me. So there's nothing wrong with being a leader, right? Because I believe that leaders should lead by example. They should help out. They should be assistants, and they should be the ones in the front line taking accountability. Totally fine, right? That's the same type of stuff that you see on LinkedIn all the time. But then the third panel it just says introvert, and it's one figure pulling a wagon. Now, why is that problematic? It's problematic because it implies that introverts can't be bosses and can't be leaders. And this is annoying to me. And I'm going to take a sip of water and let you know why in a second. Sorry about that. But introverts are people who tend to expend energy when they interact with people. And they expend energy faster than other people who are extroverts who get energy by interacting with people. But it does not mean that introverts don't like socializing. It does not mean that introverts are shy. It doesn't mean that introverts have social anxiety. It does not mean introverts don't like people. And it certainly doesn't mean that introverts aren't leaders. Introverts are the best leaders, actually. I'm an introvert and a leader. So why is that so annoying to see that there's a distinction between introverts and leaders in this graphic? Because you see that in one panel, the leader has 3 people he's leading, but the introvert's all alone. So it's implying that the introvert works alone and the leader does not, where that is not the case at all. And then the fourth panel, you see introvert with AI. And that means that the introvert can be more effective by pulling 3 carts alone because now they have AI. And this is the stupidest example I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, all right. So we go from being a boss to a leader, which makes sense, right? The boss gets off the wagon and actually helps the 3 others pull the wagon. That makes sense, being a boss versus being a leader. But then why can't an introvert also be the leader? Why can't the leader who's in the second panel also be an introvert? Why can't the leader who's an introvert get the job done and then go home and go read a book, go home and do something that they enjoy and still get to be who they are, right? And then the last panel is just stupid. Last panel just means that, yeah, you can get more stuff done with AI. Yeah, duh. I mean, I say it all the time. But AI is not the only thing that expands your productivity, right? Before AI, you could still expand your productivity with automation, with systems, with tools, even with new processes. It doesn't even have to be something related to technology even. So it doesn't really make sense why you're now suddenly an introvert pulling one wagon and then an introvert with AI pulling three wagons just because you have AI now versus an introvert with automation or introvert with better systems. It doesn't mean that you have to do it alone because you're an introvert. So there's no cohesive thought between these four panels. And why this kind of bothers me is because looking at this tends to imply that because if somebody identifies as an introvert or is not the most social, that AI is going to be the end all of requiring human intervention, human interaction, teamwork, and it doesn't mean that at all. In fact, we're seeing that human in a loop is more important than ever. We're seeing that AI can and does hallucinate. We're seeing people use AI without knowing how AI works. We're seeing companies jump the gun, laying off entire divisions and departments in favor of using AI where it's too early to do so without taking into account that, hey, you need people to actually vet the outputs of these systems and you need to take it a little slower. And not to mention the distinction between introversion and extroversion and understanding that one is not better than the other. They're just different ways of managing energy, but both can be impactful leaders. Both can be successful. And just because you're an introvert does not mean that you can't have relationships, friendships. It doesn't mean that you can't be a boss. It doesn't mean that you can't be a leader. A lot of CEOs are actually introverts. So I don't even know what this graphic is trying to imply. It's funny because I have this conversation at least once a quarter with somebody. And they'll say things like, oh, if you're an introvert, it's hard to get ahead in your career or something like that. And I'm just like, not really. If you think about it, a self-aware introvert knows where to show up and where not to show up. So if somebody's super introverted, they may know that, hey, I lose a lot of steam when invited to happy hour or to a bar or to like a loud club or a social setting or some sort of unstructured event. Let me go to this structured event instead. Let me do like a coffee chat or a coffee break with, certain people one-on-one because that's where I'm most effective. That's where I can build the better relationships. So it's about knowing yourself, managing your time and your energy effectively because of your personality type. Actually, there's a couple of times where people were surprised that I identify as an introvert because I also do public speaking. So they're just like, I never knew because you never go up there and act afraid. And I'm like, it has nothing to do with fear. There's a lot of extroverts who love being around people, but they have social anxiety. And you're just leaving them out entirely by labeling introverts as shy. So I'm an introvert, but I don't have social anxiety. I can go up on a stage and crush it. I can leave the stage, interact with my audience, and then at the end of the day, when my battery is low, go back to my hotel or go home or wherever I am, and then recharge, read a book or do something that I like to do. But again, it's about managing my energy. If I know that I have an event coming up or a course or something where I interact with a lot of people, I take a downtime before, I plan my downtime before, and I plan my downtime after. So that is all introversion is. And extroverts are probably the same way. They probably, hype themselves up before an event, get hyped at the event, and then find a way to stay hype after the event. I don't know, because that's not my personality type. And of course, it's not an exact science, so a lot of us will fall somewhere in between because it's a spectrum, right? There's no way to accurately measure someone's degree of introversion versus extroversion. But I just want to kind of put it out there that, hey, these types of these types of thought patterns are really harmful and inaccurate and just plain dumb, right? Because I talk about automation, I talk about systems, and I talk about ways to triple, double quadruple effectiveness through technology and through systems, but it has nothing to do with your personality per se, right? It just has to do with where you want to be, your goals, and ultimately your plans, and seeing how we can identify the processes that you're doing, and seeing how then we can take those processes and put them into a system to make that more effective. That has nothing to do with your personality. Now, we'll caveat to say that there are some clients who love talking to people who can't imagine systematizing like follow-ups and things like that, because they really like to get on the phone with people or just DM people or something like that, where we might not automate that part of it. But nonetheless, I think that just making a blanket statement like, okay, if you're an introvert, use AI, and then you could be 3 times effective as a leader who's an extrovert, just doesn't make any sense. It's just really, 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 really silly. I will say, though, that AI can get you to that three wagon approach, I guess. But it's not only AI, it's AI plus your systems, and plus the person using it, and plus the person vetting it. So am I saying that this graphic is useless? Absolutely, I'm saying it's useless. I'm saying it can be improved as well. But, I think that no matter what your personality type is, you do need to identify, all right, what are the repeatable processes that you are doing over and over again that you can delegate to a piece of technology? And what's your end goal? Like, what's your end goal with actually using any sort of tool, any sort of system? Are you using a tool just for the sake of using a tool? Or are you using it to achieve an end result? Because if you're going to do the latter, you're going to be a lot more effective. And I think that is where I'm steering a lot more businesses towards, is being effective versus just being first. All right, so that's all I got to say about that. If you need assistance in this area, that is where I give away free 30-minute automation insight sessions where we talk about what's working, what's not working, where you want to be, and how I can best support you. Okay, so the link to do that is in wherever this is going to be posted, and I will leave it at that. So, all right, so take care, and I will talk to you later. Bye.